Thank you so much for joining this channel. So today I'm starting a new playlist that is on MCP. MCP is very important. So that's the reason actually I'm creating a new playlist which will only focus on the MCP for agent, right? So let me tell you that what is MCP first. So in the day one or episode one, we are trying to understand what is MCP, what is the benefit, how we can use that. So you can see that MCP full form is Model Context Protocol. By the end of this episode, you will understand what is MCP, why MCP created, identify the what is the problem it is solving, why am I using the MCP, major components of the MCP, differentiating MCP from the traditional REST APIs. Even we will compare MCP with the tool, MCP with the workflow, anything in the coming day, and explain how application communicate with external system using MCP. So LLM we know, right? To build an agent, we need a brain or in a reasoning LLM tool, or the higher version of tool is MCP, memory, and there should be some action, right? So these four things actually combinedly make a agent, or you can say working agent. Otherwise, it will be like a normal chain AI application. If it only give you the response, it should take some action. So LLM incredibly powerful, that which responsible for the reasoning based on the user input or any tool input, whatever you are providing. But there is a limitation. LLM cannot, suppose you are in chat GPT, you are asking, "Okay, I want to book a ticket." It can give you an information in which website you will get the details, how to book it. Okay. But it cannot work on behalf of you to actually book that, right? That's the reason the agent concept came, which will work like a human or on behalf of human. There should be some action, but there is a limitation, right? They don't know how to interact with the database, APIs or something. So for example, imagine I'm checking my leave balance in the company. So I need to call an API, right? Because every individual employee has his own leave balance. So that API call was get leave details that need to be called. LLM cannot give. LLM only can give you the reasoning or can give you the structural response based on your leave details that way you will get it from the tool. Create support ticket, show me the month sales, right? This information is very specific to a individual or a individual company or a trust or organization. LLM is trained with the basic data. Say, for example, if you are in engineering, first year is a general studies, right? Everyone knows that. But when you go for a specialization, you have to go to the second year, third year. So second year, third is nothing but the agent with tool, memory, and other things. And the first year, agent is only with the LLM. I should say GenAI apps. So AI understand your question, but it does not direct have any access, right? HR, CRM, SQL. Traditionally, developers had to build a custom integrator where we do generally do a external API configuration with header authentication and everything. This approach quickly becomes difficult to maintain as the number of models and the business grows. Right, you need to connect hundred of tools, hundred of models. In that case, we need something. We don't have to bother about the tools getting added or deleted. We will use the wrapper or a gateway of the tool and through a single protocol that is called model context protocol. If you're only working with one or two tools, no need to use MCP. But if you have 100 tools, and MCP will reduce the burden of actually writing so much of code with the tool, then better to go with MCP because each tool has its own way of authentication, authorization, of connectivity, right? So you need a separate code base. So what is MCP, Model Context Protocol? That standardizes how AI application communicate with external tool, resources or the services. Before MCP, AI plus many tools. It is a chaos, right, in handling tools. Say, for example, you have a multiple, if you are deploying any service in the Docker Kubernetes. Why Kubernetes? The orchestration. So many Docker images you cannot handle it, right? Similarly, many tools you cannot handle it. We need some orchestrator or protocol. So in development arena, Kubernetes is working as a orchestrator, and in the AI arena, MCP is working as a orchestrator. So you can see by the diagram for Claude, for ChatGPT, for anything, either from the GitHub, everything is a different way of connectivity. So many ports. Now MCP is like a USB, it will connect everything. So instead of every AI application require its own custom integration, MCP provides common language that both AI client and server understand. Say USB C type for AI application. If you go to these sites, you will get so many MCP servers. This will help you. Say, for example, if you click on this, say you can use Learn Document MCP server, Azure MCP server, GitHub MCP server. So Azure has so many things, right? You have to connect individually everything, Azure Monitor, database. We use the MCP server, no need to bother about individual coding. You have to go to the MCP server. It will indirectly take care of the storage authentication. Say, for example, DevOps or SQL, Playwright also for the testing. So you can go through this link, MCP, GitHub MCP. So you can see that links. So why was MCP created? So before MCP, ChatGPT, custom AI, now say for example HR system, Claude. So ChatGPT as I shown in the diagram. ChatGPT interact with HR system, Claude is interacted Copilot. But this caused several duplication, coding, right? Difficult to manage. Three is okay if there are six, seven. So can we put it into under MCP and directly it's like a gateway, just like a API, right? Instead of connecting individual APIs. But every tool is a wrapper around a SaaS, right? All a product. Every tool has a separate, authentication, retries, all are separate, bundled together. The issues are complexity, fragile maintenance, no reusability, right? You cannot use it. You are hard coding that to connect that. So without MCP, developer commonly faced custom integration everywhere. Custom integration is a very important thing. But can we reduce the code? Can we reduce unnecessary duplication of code? That is the purpose. And that only can be done through the protocol. Vendor checking, duplicate logic, security challenge, high maintenance, poor scalability that I mentioned. What problem actually solve? MCP is a standard tool discovery, standard resource discovery, reusable prompt templates, data. So MCP has a two part MCP client, MCP server. Suppose this is an agent. It can be React, it can be any agent. Agent actually discovers the tools. Then it call that MCP server, it execute the tool and get returned back. So this is the format they work. MCP let you define tool once in the server, client discover and call them dynamically. Benefit faster build, easy to maintain, dynamic discovery, right? Dynamic discovery and then calling the tool. Real world example HR portal, CRM, inventory, SQL, SharePoint. Employee use what? Suppose company has these systems, right? Employee use ChatGPT, Claude, GitHub Copilot, VS Code. Without MCP, every AI client requires separate integration. HR, payroll, CRM. With MCP, one MCP server exposes the required tool any client can consume. So core components are host, like this host is application where the user interact with. In our case, VS Code, Claude Desktop, AI IDs, right? Client communicates with the MCP server that I have shown. Invoke tools, retries resources. Server exposes capabilities to the AI application. The server is responsible for executing the business logic and returning result. So we have done host, client, host where we are starting. Client is something which is selecting to the server. Server actually talk to the tools and everything. And finally talk to the external system. So this is the host MCP client and client external system tool data system. So understanding tool, a tool represents an action AI can perform, create employees, get simple tool. Think of a tool as a function that AI can call. Resources, like a rack system, like company policies and documents. Prompts, what prompt you are giving, what exactly AI user is looking for. MCP workflow, user asks a question, host, tab, host send the request to the AI model. AI model external information or action required. LLM decide. If client discover the appropriate tool or resources from the MCP server. So when you say connect into the AI model means you can directly talk to the AI model to get the information like which it's the MCP to contact. MCP server execute the request. And then server return the data, AI combine data with reasoning, host present the final response to the user. This separation allows AI model to remain focused on reasoning while enterprise system is very important on business logic and data access. So data access will be handled by the enterprise system through MCP server or tool, but AI model only focus on the reasoning. And for that, you need a workflow, and workflow need prompts, resources, tools. MCP designed for application to application communication, AI to application communication, fixed endpoints, API. MCP does not replace REST. And ultimately, MCP use actually the REST. So benefit organization adopt MCP because faster AI integration, reusable component, reduce development effort, vendor independence, standardize, better governance, improve scalability, enhance developer productivity. So key takeaways, MCP is an open protocol for connecting AI application with external system. It standardizes the communication between AI's client and the servers. MCP enable AI to discover that I have shown, invoke tools through the MCP, access resources using the reusable prompts. It reduces custom integration work that earlier we need to do directly with the tools. MCP complement existing APIs rather than replacing. So it is not a replacement, it is like complementing in a structured way with these facilities. So hope you understand what is MCP. In the next session, we will discuss the core component that we already discussed, host client, in detailed manner. Thank you.